Alright, what is good, Slap City? In this video, we're going to break down the Dorian Perez versus Pono fight from Power Slap 12. So, this was an okay fight. It was horribly officiated, which made it a lot less exciting than it should have been. Chris Tione, in my opinion, is the worst ref in Power Slap and should not be reffing Power Slap. And then there was one in the first round where it's like, not even just Tione. I'm not even convinced that there was anybody sitting at the replay table. It was that bad. Like the only logical explanation was that someone was taking a shit while they were supposed to be reviewing the replay. But anyway, I don't think either guy did their best, in my opinion at least. I think both guys could have done better. As it stood with no calls, I had it 2-1 for Dorian. I had the first round for Dorian, the second round for Pau, and then the third round for Dorian. So I was confused to begin with when they made this fight because I thought Dorian beat DeBell at Power Slap 10. If you saw my breakdown of that fight, you'll know that. So I thought that Dorian should have been defending his belt against whoever he fought next. So yeah, when they made this fight, I was surprised because it's not that like Pau didn't deserve a big fight. It's just because I think that Dorian should have gotten an immediate rematch. But DeBell must have been sidelined and Dorian likes to fight. So that's what he's going to do. He's going to fight. So for Pau, I thought he did great on defense. I thought he proved that he has a chin. He stood with the #1 guy in the world. So, although it's an L on his record, I think that there's a lot that you can take away from it. Now, on offense for Pau, I thought he had an off night, to be honest with you. I thought his slap looked different, and we'll go over that. I definitely don't think those are the best slaps he can throw, nor are they the best slaps that we've seen him throw in Power Slap. Dorian had said after the fight that he was lacking some power, which was a little weird to hear about Pono because we know he has power, but it coincides with what I was saying about his strike looking different. And I'm not saying that what I noticed is why. Like, I'm not saying that, but I am saying that if he's doing something different in this fight and not getting the knockout versus his last fight where he got the knockout, I mean, not necessarily the reason why, but it could have affected it. And for Dorian, I mean, take a good look. You are looking at the #1 chin in all of Power Slap, in any division. And yes, I said it, Dorian Perez, in my opinion, has the best chin in all of Power Slap. And that's what makes him so hard to beat, because when you can't knock him out, you just end up getting into a gamesmanship battle with Dorian that you're just not going to win. The absolute only reason that he's not champion of the world is because of the issues he's had with fouling. And you saw it in this fight as well. That's literally the only thing holding Dorian back. Now, typically, he hasn't had the best luck with calls, meaning that he's kind of under a microscope and tends to get called, where some people will tend to get away with it. But that wasn't the case in this fight. He got away with one in this fight, which arguably could have saved him. So, you know, who knows? Maybe he had that karma bank built up. But yeah, I mean, overall, like, it was a pretty good fight, but the reffing just made it a little bit goofy and a little bit less exciting. So, yeah, anyway, with that said, let's get into it.
Striking first, Dorian Perez.
All right, so Dorian, round 1. He always looks like he'd rather be nowhere else in the world when he fights, and that's what you want. If you look at the demeanor between the two of them, you can see it. Pau looks much more serious.
Dorian Perez in the red corner and Pono Pau. Both of these men with their sights set.
You'll see Pau, he starts his head tilted completely down, so this is just a jockey between him and the ref for head position, because tucking your chin does help you take a slap. So you're not allowed to tuck your chin, but it's only a rule. It's not a foul. On Dorian's measure, you'll see that he likes to get his body like completely to the left, like his chest will be completely facing to the left side.
All right, so Dorian Perez gets the first shot. Oh, hold on.
Alright, Tione stops him here. I guess he doesn't like how Pau was standing, which is odd because he's the one that set him. I mentioned that tucking your chin is a rule and not a foul, so you're not going to lose a point if you tuck your chin and the ref says something. But in this case, when he backs you off, if you don't listen to the ref here, then they can take a point, because you can lose a point for not listening to the ref at their discretion. So you definitely want to be pushing the limits of how much they'll let you tuck your chin, but if they tell you to reset, then you have to listen to them. Otherwise, technically, they could take a point.
He's measuring well. He's had that hand in the face for a while. There's one. We're going on 3.
Okay, good shot from Dorian. Pau takes a couple steps back, but is able to eat it. That was a great slap from Dorian, and that was big for Pau to be able to come out and eat that. Boom, stop it there. Okay. Well, first and foremost, I mean, look at the size of Dorian's hands. That kid has some mitts on him. His hand is bigger than Pau's face, which is something you have to keep in mind when you're analyzing his slaps. Like, how big of a hand you have doesn't affect how deep you place your palm, but it will affect how much of your hand spills over outside of the target area when you throw a permanent slap. So when you look at this, I mean, it's a little bit above the button, but as far as like accuracy and landing a clean strike, I mean, you can't throw much of a better slap than this. This is virtually perfect from Dorian. The only thing that could have been better is if it was a little bit lower and clip the button. Okay, you'll see a minor heel lift from Dorian on the follow through, which is perfectly legal. Yeah, a couple steps back from Pau, but eats it, man.
Record, 1 no contest. He's never been knocked out. This guy has a chin of steel.
20 seconds. Pau's speaking to the Wolverine right now.
You'll see Dorian acting a fool.
Still looks a little dazed, if you ask me.
Well, and Wolverine doing what he does, telling him to take his time, but he has 7 seconds now. He has to step to the power slap table and get to work.
Stay side up, don't move. Okay, you're perfect.
Well, Dorian Perez has been in there with the champion, some of the heaviest hitters at heavyweight.
Must measure.
A lot of experience. You do start to wonder, all those blows on the chin, does it start to take its toll? But so far, the chin has stood up to the test every time.
Okay, decent shot from Pau there. Dorian thinks it was low. It did look funky. It looked like it could have been either a club or a flinch. Okay, it does look like Dorian moves forward on it. It was a little surprising from Dorian because he doesn't usually do this. Maybe he was thrown off by the timing of the on-1. So, I mean, if we pause it here, I mentioned Tyone not being able to ref because, I mean, look at this. There is no galaxy, no dimension, no universe where this isn't a foul of some sort. Whether you call a flinch, a club, or both, you'd be right on any of them. But the only thing you're not right on is if you call this nothing. There's no planet where this is nothing. And one thing I noticed about Pau in this fight was that he was standing very close to the podium, like almost jamming himself up on it. And so I think that he was going to be low and deep here regardless. But then you add in that Dorian moves forward and it just sets up the recipe for this. But I mean, you'll look, I think that Pau might have been low anyway, to be honest. And Dorian dipped down into it and it was still low. I mean, if you look at it from this angle, it looks like it's on his neck and Dorian dipped into it. So yeah, I mean, this was a funky strike. Whether you call a flinch or a club, it has to be something, or both. It has to be something in my opinion. Now, I mentioned that Pau's strike looked different in this fight, so let's take a look at it. So I'll bring in his knockout strike against Cooper Housley, and we'll take a look at that. So if we play it. Okay, and we stop it here. So you'll see that his arm is completely straight here. So this is the last frame of his wind-up, like his pullback, and then anything from here on forward is like his strike motion. So you'll see his arm is completely straight here. Now, if we watch his strike against Dorian again, and then pause it here. So this is the same exact frame, and you'll see that his arm is at a complete 90-degree turn here. So bring back in his strike against Cooper, and yeah, this looks completely different. I mean, a straight arm versus a 90-degree bend. You'll see the other white line that I added in to show where it would have been if he did the same strike as the Cooper strike. Now, I mentioned Dorian said he was lacking power, and I'm not saying that this is why, but I mean, it is a pretty big difference between the knockout strike and this, so who knows? Maybe it had something to do with it. It was just something that I noticed. You'll see Bisping had that round 10-9. I agree. You'll see Dorian, that stage presence at its finest. All right, so Dorian right on 3.
He's got no one left to catch.
There you go. Good job.
On out Michael Bisping.
Right on
Well, we
three,
just
look
locked
at
in.
it. Right on
We
three,
made
look
eye
at it.
contact.
That's what you do.
So don't worry about me.
You've done it with many a man.
I love it. It's a good time. Let's go. Remember, wobbled Powell last time.
Okay, not the best shot from Dorian. Pow spikes the foam on his head. Dorian would end up getting him back for that. Yeah, that looked funky. That looked like a club. Boom, stop it here. Okay, yeah, so this is a club. I've mentioned before that the heel of your hand can land on their face. It just can't go further than their chin, or else it's a club. So that's what you see here. His palm is towards the back of the target area. He was just too deep there. And I mean, if we stop it there, yeah. I mean, I love Dorian. That's just not a slap to the face. Again, this is the only reason that he's not champ. It's just losing focus a little bit and throwing fouls in key moments. All right, so Pono, round 2. He definitely had a different demeanor in this fight. If you saw him on road to the title against Devin Jenkins in his first fight, I mean, he was talking shit at the face-offs. He was animated. He was very zen in this fight, which I think might have hurt him a little bit. It was obviously over-amplified because he's fighting Dorian, who's very animated, but there was a different vibe from Pono in this fight.
Fighter recovered.
Where do you want me?
Right there. Perfect. Chin is perfect. Stay right there. Okay?
Yep.
Thank you. All right. Hand in count.
Right hand on 1.
Right on 1 with the measure. Set.
All right, Pono Powell going on 1 here in the second round. There's that.
The placement.
Okay, good shot from Pono. Dorian gets him back with the foam, then daps him up.
They're hugging.
I know it's all love as well.
We're even. We're even.
Boom. Right on the chin. Dorian just absorbs it. You'll see a strong brace from Dorian, but that's not a flinch. You're allowed to move a little bit. It just can't affect the power of the strike, which this most certainly didn't. I saw a lot of comments about Dorian flinching, and yeah, besides the first one, there's no flinch. So if we stop it here, Powell, a little bit deeper than I think you want to be. I personally think that, I mean, obviously you can still knock somebody out, but against Perez, I think the better course of action would have been to pull back a little bit. You'll see Bisping has it 1-1, and I agree with him.
Yeah, 1 apiece. I mean, it's a massive opening shot for Dorian Perez. A little disappointed in round 2, if I'm honest. Powell came back, leveled up the scorecard.
Dorian shooting the imaginary slingshot.
Back to the power slap table. Here is Perez.
You got it.
Chin up.
Looking for the knockout here in round 3.
Good head position by Powell there.
Knockout here in round 3.
I love you.
I love you too, buddy.
Yes, sir.
Right on 3.
Nothing but love, though, Dan.
Did he just say I love you to Chris Trione?
Do you love me?
All right. Of course I love you.
Oh, thank you very much.
Love Charlie more.
Charlie, do you love me? Kiki. Let's go.
Okay, pretty good shot by Dorian. Powell gets him back again with the foam. Powell saying he got hit in the eye.
The corner of Pono Powell. Definitely got wobbled, but rounds 2 and 3 took it no problem.
Boom, stop it here. Okay, so this was another interesting strike because it's definitely a little high. Now, there are a few things we have to keep in mind. So, first, Powell was tucking his chin a little bit, which is a good thing on defense. It makes it harder for the opponent to hit the target area. But on the flip side, as the defender, there's a better chance of you taking a strike that's a little bit off the mark. And it's like, you do that by design. I mean, you don't want to get hit on the button. The whole point of tucking your chin is to keep them from hitting the button. So me personally, I'd rather take this strike than one right on the jaw. And so when you tuck your chin like that on defense, you know, this is going to happen. Now, it's definitely still a little high. But for me, it's not really deep enough to be a club. Like, his wrist is still in the front of Powell's face, so it's definitely not too deep. And I would say that more of Dorian's hand is landing in the target area than not in the target area. So I would let this go. Your fingers are allowed to land outside of the target area. Even on the first strike, that was absolutely perfect. He still caught Powell in the eye a little bit just because of the size of his hands. For me, like, tie should go to the striker. Because then when you're getting in a situation where you're calling absolutely nothing and you're having people that are tuning in and just, they're like, oh, what's this power slap shit? And then people are getting straight up karate chopped in the neck and you're not calling shit. Like I'm cool with letting these go. Tie goes to the striker so that you can call those. So yeah, I mean, if anything, it helped Pow out that he hit him eye, I think. You're much better off taking one up top. A lot less chance of getting knocked out, so.
Well, he might be looking at the eye. We really see.
So they ended up calling the doctor in here, and I personally think that it was more like to try and induce the clubbing call. Like, I don't think that Pow was in any danger of not continuing to fight here. I think it was more just to give the replay booth time to review it and maybe get a clubbing call. I could be wrong about that, but that's how I read this. And I think it actually kind of ended up coming back to hurt him overall because think about it. Like, if they don't call it, then the doctor's getting called in, which means that you're hurt. So, like, the judges, they don't sit right, like, they're not listening to the commentary. Like, they don't necessarily know any of that. All they see is the doctor coming in. So they're not able to really tell whether or not you're actually rocked or if you're just, like, a situation like this where you're kind of giving the replay another chance to look at it. So, yeah, I think it might have ended up coming back to hurt him here.
Because you can't continue.
Oh, wait, no. Sorry. He's got the pen.
And certainly he can still get the knockout here.
All right, so Pow, round 3. Right on one.
A piece going into round 3. That wasn't the best shot for Dorian Perez.
So this could be the deciding blow for Pono Pow.
Well, it is the deciding blow.
Indeed it is.
Stay right there.
Pono Pow with the pressure on, gets his eye raked, has a chance to win it here.
It is the final blow.
Right on one.
And take out the number 1 contender in the.
Dorian talking shit.
Right on one.
Hit me, come on.
Come on, give me your best shot.
Okay, good shot from Pow there. Dorian talks some quick shit, and then they hug up. I don't know how Dorian's able to so respectfully talk shit. Like, it's pretty wild. Mutual respect between those two guys, though. You'll love to see it. Boom, right on the chin. Dorian just absolutely eats it. Boom, stop it here. I mean, yeah, right on the chin again. So yeah, overall, it was a pretty good fight. It was a little bit weird with the no calls. There were a couple that were just odd, so it kind of took away from the excitement of the match, in my opinion. In my opinion, there definitely should have been something called in the first round, whether it's a flinch or a club. And so moving forward, I mean, Dorian, he definitely should get a rematch. I mean, today it's Thursday, so last night was Smack Talk with Pow, actually, ironically. There's that beef going on with him and Wes right now that I'll touch on. But also, the main dude, I think his name's Corey, he was saying straight up, like, this was savage, dude. He, like, never goes across the line and talks, like, anything that anyone could take wrong, ever. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, it's just like, yeah, I don't think there's an appetite for Dorian versus DeBell rematch. And he said it would go the same way. And I'm sitting there, and shout out to the other dude. I mean, I've obviously disagreed with the other dude, Ding, multiple times. But shout out to him for calling it out, because, yeah, that was fucking utterly ridiculous. Like, Dorian arguably won that fight as it was. Ding's point was one less foul, and he's the champ, and I agree with him. And so for that guy to sit there and be like, yeah, I don't think anybody else has an appetite for that, like, speaking for other people, like, yeah, I don't know. But shout out to the other dude, Ding, for calling it out, and he's right. And then, yeah, so anyway, I think that Dorian should get the rematch. I mean, he likes to fight, so he'll fight anybody. I would like to see him versus DeBell. I would like to see him versus Siegman. If you're not going to put Dorian against DeBell, I think that you put him against Siegman. I think that would be a great fight. I think that, I mean, I'm completely sold on the Pow versus West fight. Like, that needs to happen now. That needs to happen. It's a good fight. And for Wes, I mean, yeah, sure. Fighting back a little bit in the rankings, but he's one win away from a title shot. I think the fight makes all the sense in the world. I really do. And they appear to have some beef to settle. I mean, if they make another fight other than that, I'll be disappointed. I think it would be a mistake. But yeah, anyway, hope y'all enjoyed this. Till next time, like, comment, subscribe. Peace.